where can people hear your music and where have they already heard it?
So somebody came to me and said, have I heard your music? And I said, well, if you've been watching TV for the last 30 years, you absolutely have heard my music. So the current thinking is that billions and billions of people have heard my music, especially on television.
I can't believe it's not bothering.
You can hear my music anywhere. So my name is Michael Whalen, and I am a composer, and I'm a recording artist, and I've been doing this for 3 decades and some. The new album is something that I've been thinking about for 15 years. And so back in 2005, I did this record called My Secret Heart. And there's a song on it called I've Loved You for 1,000 Lifetimes, which has got 10 zillion streams online, and it's one of those songs. This new album is called Walk in Beauty Like the Night, which is a quote from this Byron poem, which I absolutely adore. And the idea is that it's sort of a sequel to My Secret Heart. Can I fuse the romantic piano-ness and the electronic-ness and kind of all live in the same world? I think I did, but at the end of the day, I really just wanted to give this to my wife because she is crazy about the piano. And when I told her I was doing a piano record, she's like, but we don't have a piano. We have a Casio in our living room. And I said, I know, I'm gonna do it on that. And I did the record, and she's like, God, this sounds great. And so it's been a long time coming, but I'm so happy with how it came out. I've had this very interesting career because it keeps sort of unfolding and unfolding and unfolding, because it started with advertising, and I've done thousands and thousands of ads. And then it went into television, and I've done hundreds and hundreds of TV shows. And then I've done some feature films, and then somewhere in there I became a music supervisor, who's the guy who picks the songs that go in the TV shows. So who am I pretty much at this point is I'm a recording artist. I love making records. I make 2, 3, sometimes 4 a year. I don't do one thing. I think I'm very lucky that I have the opportunity to go and explore things in lots and lots of different ways. When I look at the difference between the music that I write for myself and the music that I write for other people, so whether it's a commission or a contract or whatever, for a long time I've had it like my music and their music. That's not like that anymore. When I work on a film, they're hiring Michael Whalen to be Michael Whalen. It's always an opportunity to do something where I'm going to push the walls out and I'm going to also answer the creative brief. But I love working with other people. I love when they bring me stuff and it challenges me and I'm like, you want me to do tango music? I worked on a film that won dozens and dozens and dozens of film festival awards, and it turned out to be a tango score. And someone's like, I didn't know you could write tango music. And I'm like, I didn't know I could write tango music. And I just feel lucky that I get to do both. The most featured instrument on the new album, you'd say, is piano, because the subtitle is, romantic meditations for ambient piano. And so then someone's gonna say, well, what's an ambient piano? In a jump ball between the piano and everything else, the piano noses it out by the end of the album. But there's like some really interesting tracks on the album. Like I did this whole sort of like southern sort of swampy thing where I used sort of like processed guitar sounds in with the piano, and it does all this stuff. So like I experimented and did some stuff, but at the end of the day, it's still a piano record. When I sit down to play, my automatic sit down and play thing is jazzy-ish, I think. What's interesting is, if I learned anything from doing all those commercials, is how to partition yourself. Oh, I'm doing a tango thing. Oh, I'm doing a rock thing. Oh, I'm doing a string quartet thing. Okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And so there's a weird kind of discipline that happens when you have to write in all these different styles, because you can't do it as a pastiche. It can't just be like, hey, well, yeah, I guess I'll just do something stringy. It's like, no, you actually have to follow the rules. If it's going to sound like a string quartet and you want to do a Haydn thing or you want to do a Mozart thing or whatever, you kind of need to know what you're doing. I think the balance between my natural sort of tendency to like let my hands go and do what my hands want to do, and then my head, which goes in a completely different direction, is really important, because there's music I want to sit down and play, and my hands are more in control, and then there's other stuff where I will not write at the keyboard at all, and I'll just write it on a tablet, or I will sit down with a piece of music paper, remember those, and I will actually write it out longhand, and that's when my brain is in charge. And I think having both has served me very, very well. So my studio at home is upstairs in a bedroom, and I have 17 keyboards. So, and people look at my pictures, online, and they're just like, "Oh man, you've got a lot of keyboards. What do you do, and how do you write that?" And okay, truth. Here comes the truth. Most of the writing, the actual coming up with the melodies and the harmonies, does not happen in my studio. It happens down in my living room where I have my Casio Privia. When I'm down in the living room and there's the piano and the keyboard, there's focus. I love the Casio because of the way it feels. Like I'm not a piano guy, but like whatever the fulcrum, weight, pushy, downy, thingy, whatever that balance is on the keyboard is exactly right. Because I think what happens is that some keyboard manufacturers have a way of sort of overcompensating, and they make the keyboards too springy. It's like you push down on it's like, here you go, boof! And you're like, whoa, too much. What I love about the Casio is that it feels organic, and it's just like, and the more you play and the harder you go, and the more kind of wherever you go, the keyboard's like, come on, let's go play. The sound of it is terrific. I think I have heard or owned or played every single sampled piano ever made by anybody, certainly in the last 20 years. One of the things that I love about playing a piano or playing the Casio is that feedback loop. The Casio is very, very responsive. It has a terrific way of kind of opening up without being sort of over bright and that over kind of like digital thing that you hear on some sounds. What I like about the Casio is that it's designed very, like when you look at the panel, it's very, very simple. I gotta tell you, as a guy who owns 17 keyboards upstairs, man, that's nice. So in the time that I've had the Casio, I've written basically 3 albums on it, because it just wants to take you out, and you're just thinking about the melodies, and you're just thinking about, okay, how does this develop and where do I want to take it? And then I'll take that music upstairs, and I'll orchestrate it, or I'll send it to a group, or I'll do whatever I'm going to do with it. But I think at the end of the day, the Casio has been a real game changer for me, because and this is going to sound totally bizarre, but leaving the studio is one of the most creative things that I can do. Get out of the studio, go into a different situation, go into your living room. My dog is laying under the keyboard. She's very happy there. You spend a couple of hours, you write some stuff, and it's a great experience. Winning 2 Emmys has been the best and worst thing ever. So it's great. Hey, you're Emmy Award Winning, blah, 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 because that becomes the way you get introduced. The bad thing is that there has been a number of people who are like, well, we didn't call you for this because, you're too big and famous, and you're this, and you're going to be too expensive, and you're going to be this and this. And it's like, winning an award is great, but at the end of the day, I think, I almost, like on my IMDb page, I just want to put a sign on my page that says, please email me, whatever you think I wouldn't do, just tell me about it, or, pitch me or whatever. And but I also at the same time have a really, really wonderful group of people that I work with and collaborators, and I am incredibly grateful. So again, it's just all about the balance. A lot of people don't know how involved I am with the visuals on my own music. And this sometimes freaks out people, but like before I write the music, I have the cover. I have the titles of the songs. Like, I like having a visual to use as a way of making the music more programmatic. I want to know what the world feels like and looks like. So, for this new album, I took the photo. The answer to the question is that the visuals are so important to me. They become in a way, it's almost like the stake in the ground that says, you know what, this is gonna happen. You look at it and go, what's happening here? But having that picture, that's a great place to start. Teaching is the most important thing that I've done in my career. What being a teacher does to you as a composer is it makes you think, I wonder if there's a story here that I can tell in class about this thing that I'm doing. So in a way, you're almost kind of reverse engineering your own creative process while you're in the middle of it. And in a way, you try not to get sucked into that, because in a way, it's almost like you're acting, but you're standing outside of yourself while you're acting, and it's like, stop, wait. Let me go be creative, and then I can take this apart, and then I can make this into a teachable moment. If I can do anything for my students, I can be an example of what it actually is to be somebody who is many chapters down the way from where they are as students coming out of school, and say, okay, here's how I've kept myself going. Here's how I've kept myself relevant. Here's how I keep myself moving along. That the biggest thing that you can do as a teacher is be an example of a creative and somebody who is willing to ride the storm and do all the things that you need to do, because so many people get washed out. And if you can say, hey, I'm almost 60 years old and I've had this whole life and I'm writing some of the best music of my life right now, what are you doing at 21? I think that can be an incredibly important lesson for a young child or a student. Thank you to everybody. And the new album, Walk in Beauty Like the Night, is coming up July 21st. It's coming out on my label, distributed by 6 Degrees, In Grooves, Universal. And, big thanks to my friends at Casio who, helped me get the Privia, and the entire piano, all the piano on the entire record was done on that piano in my living room with a laptop. So the long story short, there would be no album without the keyboard, and I don't think I would have done it without having an instrument that made me feel so comfortable and kind of just sort of create a new context. So big thanks to my friends at Casio.